Letitia James' civil trial seemingly goes off the rails when Donald Trump and his defense bring forward a witness from the banks. The banks say everything we did with Donald Trump and the Trump organization was pretty above board. Nothing really strange or nefarious there. Not even unusual. The bank does their own due diligence. Even if Trump says that his assets are worth something, we're going to verify it. Why? Because we're a bank. And so we're going to go through what happened there in New York. We've got a couple days to get caught up on. We're going to jump into the X scripts from Adam Klasfeld. You can follow him at Klasfeld Reports. But we're going to get up to speed from Bloomberg and from Trump, because Trump is also sharing some updates on Truth Social. And here's what he is posting over there. You see, this one came out November 29, 10:55 a.m. The day of this recording, he's giving us updates from the various news entities, saying that CNN Politics posted the following. Said Williams, somebody who's on the stand, said Deutsche Bank, this is Trump's witness, offers flexible loan terms to clients like Trump to benefit their business strategy to, quote, this is from CNN, grow their non-credit relationship with the firm, saying that they prioritize high net worth clients' broader relationship with the bank. Okay, so Trump carries more than just his assets. At the end of Williams' testimony, this is from CNN, this person's on the stand in the trial, Trump's attorney, Christopher Keese, renewed a motion for a directed verdict, saying, Judge, clearly you heard from somebody that we've been talking about here. They say it's no problem at all. He renewed a motion for a directed verdict and saying that the case needs to be thrown out against Trump and the company. He said, Your Honor, what you just heard from Williams confirms that the bank had no problems with the loans to the Trump organization. And Trump's lawyer Keese also cited testimony from the banker that large changes to net worth were not unusual. There are ebbs and flows. Now, the banker's testimony proves that there was no intent to defraud and no materiality to any of the alleged discrepancies in Trump's personal financial statements submitted to the bank, is something that Christopher Keese added. Now, the bank made the decision based on its own analysis, is what Christopher Keese argued to the judge. Now, we'll go back into that. We'll zoom in on that here in a little bit. Trump also posted this, said that CNN said, quote, it's not unusual or atypical for any clients to provide financial statements to be adjusted to this level to this extent. Not unusual. Not. The people who are in the bank, says this person. He testified in the New York civil fraud trial. Williams was involved in loans for the Trump organization loan assets like the old post office, the Doral Golf Resort and Spa, and Trump International Hotel in Chicago, all properties we talked about in this trial. That guy often signed credit reports related to the loans. So he came in, testified on Tuesday, and his testimony, this is CNN Politics, reinforced Trump's defense argument that the lender was not defrauded. Trump didn't defraud anybody, and that bank personnel conducted a due diligence process that did not rely on Trump's personal financial statements. So Trump didn't commit fraud. He shared this from ABC News, saying that Williams reported both a net worth and investable assets well in excess of our minimum requirements. Yeah, I looked at the documents. Yeah, no, I mean, a ton of money, billionaire. So we got plenty, confirming that the bank set the interest rate for Trump's commercial loans at 2 to 2.5%. Now, the testimony also appeared to bolster Trump's arguments that his lenders did their own due diligence, because the argument was that Trump signed fraudulent documents. He said, these are my assets, and he overvalued them. And the bank just looked at it and they said, well, thank you for that. I guess here's $1 billion. No, they obviously did their due diligence, and it diminished the importance of the financial statements, the statements of financial conditions that have been the center of this case. And finally, from Trump, he shares this from ABC. He says, was an event of default ever declared by Deutsche Banks on the loan? Question. Trump's lawyer hops up to Mr. Williams. Sir, was there ever an event of a default? Anybody ever default on any loans by Deutsche Bank to Trump? Williams says no. So Williams then slam dunk. Christopher Keese jumps up. He said, Your Honor, this witness has again testified the bank did its own due diligence. He just said right here in court that they were not defrauded by Trump's statements of financial condition. This is a subjective exercise. There isn't a right answer. There isn't an aha, you picked the wrong number. This is it. The bank is in relationship, and it's their job to make these determinations. It's not Attorney General Tishy's job to insert herself into a private transaction 10 years later. He said it. He's the bank. He's the other party here. And we'll see what Judge Engeron says. Now, that is from Donald Trump. Now, let's jump over to Bloomberg and see what they say about this. So here it is. From Bloomberg, they say the Deutsche Bank executive testifies loan to Trump wasn't unusual. This is even from Bloomberg. And the bank disputed Trump's net worth. Now, they had other people in the courtroom, and so there's a nice article here. It says, an executive gave testimony that could bolster Donald Trump's defense in his civil fraud trial. David Williams is the guy who is on the stand. He worked for at least one of 3 loans that Deutsche Bank made to Trump in the years before he was elected president. He came out on Tuesday and said, it's atypical, but not entirely unusual for the bank to cut a client's stated asset asset value by 50% and approve a loan anyway, as it did with Trump. So Trump comes in, he could say, yeah, Mar-a-Lago's worth 500 million. Let me say 2 billion. They say, no, it's worth 1, but here's your loan. Yeah, it's fine, not a big deal. So a question came, is the bank capable of reaching its own judgment based on the evaluation that it makes of the guarantor's financial condition? Jesus Suarez asked him. In other words, do you guys know what you're doing at all? Can you do your own due diligence before you give people millions of dollars? Can you evaluate what a guarantor tells you? He says, certainly yes, of course. We're not idiots here. What do you think we are? Now, the suit brought last year was brought by Tishy. She said that Trump overvalued his assets, which again, the bank doesn't even care about. He just testified. No, we'll cut it in half and still give him a loan. It's our job to do that. Trump is scheduled now to take the witness stand on December 11th, and we'll be here to cover that, so please be subscribed. Here we learn that Kevin Wallace, a lawyer for James, for Tishy, told the judge at the end of the day that Wallace's testimony doesn't undercut our case. He says, our trial doesn't hinge on whether Deutsche Bank was a victim. We don't care if they're a victim. It's whether Trump knowingly created and used false financial documents, which is just crazy. Like they're prosecuting a victimless crime, right? Like Deutsche Bank doesn't even think that they're a victim. He says the idea that you can't lie to a bank is pretty well established. And he says it's not a lie, it's an interpretation, right? Trump has as an asset evaluation. He thinks it's worth something. They don't. That's fair. That's business. So Deutsche Bank loaned Trump hundreds of millions of dollars in various properties, Miami, Chicago, Washington. They say that Deutsche Bank cut his stated net worth from about 4.2 to 2.3 billion. He said, I'm worth 4.2. They said, no, you're not. You're worth 2.3. He says, okay, maybe. That was an internal bank credit memo used as evidence in the case. But the same documents show that the bank approved the loans anyway because it expected them to generate a profit based on Trump's history of success. They say, yeah, well, it sounds like it's a good deal for us. So Trump denies any wrongdoing, and they are bringing in additional people. He's calling to the stand this week, and we're going to jump into today's excerpt, 4 current and former Deutsche Bank employees, including this person called Rosemary Vrablic, as part of his case. The testimony could undermine Tishy's portrayal of Deutsche Bank as Trump's biggest victim. But of all of the bank executives called by the defense to testify, they'll be cross-examined, and we'll see what Tishy does with it. Now, under questioning by Suarez, Williams said the bank always reviews a client's net worth. So when Trump comes in, he says, I'm worth 100 trillion. Do you believe that? And he says, well, no. We always do our due diligence. Now, as part of our due diligence, we subject a client's asset value to adjustments. It's part of our underwriting process. We apply it to every client, regardless of what's reported, because they're a bank. Now, it's a difference of opinion in asset question. Sir, is a difference of opinion in asset values between what the client tells you and what the bank, is that a disqualifying factor to extend credit? Like, do you guys get offended? Do you say, you lied to us, Trump? Huh? You're not worth 4 billion. We're not going to do business with a liar, right? Did Trump try to defraud you, in other words? Do you feel like you were defrauded? He says, no. If there's a difference of opinion, no, we don't disqualify them. Why not? He says, it's just a difference of opinion. Bingo. I think we expect clients to provide information to be accurate. But Williams added that the financial statements are made largely relying on the use of estimates. Isn't that nice? It's a bank. So there are no victims. In earlier testimony by Trump and his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, they took the stand. They all argued that no banks had been victimized by any of these assets. In fact, Deutsche Bank made millions in interest that they loaned. They also argued that his valuation of assets, they also got a boost from the Trump name. Letitia, she said that no, Trump lied. And there's 6 claims that are being investigated, saying that there was illegal profit from Trump. Now, Williams said, they questioned to him, sir, are you aware of any breaches by Trump on these loans? He said, no, not aware of any breaches. But during cross-examination, Williams was shown internal bank documents. Oh, have you seen these, sir? Referencing at least 2 breaches related to his commitments to cash flow. The documents show Trump cured the breaches. Okay, maybe it was late on something. One was related to, they said you have to have a certain amount of money in an account, and he didn't have the money in the account or something, and so he remedied it. Put it back in there, move the money over. So he said, Williams said, no, there's nothing particularly unusual about how they got back into compliance. He said, no, our bank was satisfied with the resolution, so they're good. Okay, any further questions? No. So after he was excused as a witness, Christopher Keese asked the judge, said, I want an immediate verdict, a directed verdict, Your Honor. Testimony from Deutsche Bank shows that the state here, their claims that there was an asset inflation, that it was material to the lender's decision is totally moot. You heard from the bank itself. It says the bank had no problem at all with a $2 billion difference or a $3 billion difference. No one cares. Large changes to net worth are not unusual. There's been no demonstration here from Tish of any materiality at all. Engeron said, I'm going to take that under advisement. I'll rule on that at a later time. But he says, I'm not convinced by the argument. He says, the mere fact that lenders were happy doesn't mean that the statute wasn't violated. So it could still be illegal, even though nobody actually complained about it. Here was another angle from Courthouse News, who was also there. And I think we got most of this in the prior articles. He says, yes, the bank is certainly capable of making assessments of Trump's wealth. Doesn't matter if it's 2.65 or 4.98 billion. Not unusual for a client's financial statements to be adjusted to this level. Also heard by eBay over on Courthouse News. And so now that we know what happened in the day preceding, let's jump into today's activities, courtesy of Klasfeld Reports, who you can follow on the X at Klasfeld Reports, and he does great legal reporting over for The Messenger. And he says today, good morning from New York. Now, Trump's defense team continues to call Deutsche Bank related witnesses to the stand. The first one they called today is Rosemary Vrablich, a key figure to the bank's introductions to the Trumps. Now, Vrablich's on the stand, and they say, Miss Vrablich, you promise to tell the truth, all truth, not telling you? Yes, I do. All right, please be seated. Can you tell us about your background here, Miss Vrablich? She says, certainly. I've been working with this bank for quite some time. In fact, I'm over at the Private Wealth Management Division, the PWM division. You may have heard of it. She says, yeah. Well, how did I get started with the Trump family? It goes back quite a ways, I'd say. It started when I first got a phone call. Jared Kushner from the Trump organization gave us a phone call. He says, hey, Vrablich, can you help us out with this deal? We're looking for a bid on a property called the Doral in Florida. And they said, well, that's interesting. So you'd remember some emails, right, that you sent back and forth. She says, yeah, probably would. Well, I want to recall this email for you. This one is dated November 29, 2021. Ms. Vrablich, it says here that you sent an email to a fellow Deutsche Bank executive called Marcus Mitchell. Do you recall this? And she looks, yeah, I recall that. What does this say here on the screen? It says, we are whale hunting. We are whale hunting. So Vrablich is sending the message to other executives. We're going for money, baby. It's go time. What does whale hunting mean, Miss Rosemary? She says, whale hunting is business lingo. We're seeking a business relationship with people who have very high net worths. Oh, like the Trumps? Yeah, I'd say so. Rosemary, can you tell me about your relationship with Ivanka? She says, sure, love Ivanka. Also a whale, no doubt. Says, she was my main liaison to the Trump organization, and I want to draw your attention to this email from August 7th, 2014, going way back in time now, before Trump was even running. Rosemary says, yeah, there was an email. Looks like I sent that to Ivanka. And can you read that email for us? She says, certainly. It says, my direct boss would like to call you and your dad to thank you for being such great clients and for all the business that we've been doing together. Well, that sounds nice. It doesn't sound like Rosemary feels defrauded. So the business management, executive management development people wants to get her boss on the phone and have a nice conversation with Trump and Ivanka. Email says, can you please read the next sentence? Says, yeah, your family is in the top 10 revenue generating names of asset and wealth management now, and he is thrilled with how it's grown. Wow, top 10 revenue generating names of asset and wealth management now? That's a lot. That's pretty good. Kind of want that for your bank, right? And so here Klasfeld is reporting. He says, I want to show you another email. This one goes back even further, from 2011. Says, did you send this email? Says, they are ecstatic with our performance, so I think we will get tremendous business from them. She uses tremendous too. Little Trump lingo there. So she is saying that Trump is happy. Trump is happy with them. They love our performance. They're giving us good loans and it's all working out. So Trump's lawyer says, all right, I want to show you, Rosemary, this email from December 23rd, 2021, a little bit more recently. Here's an email with the subject line. It's called Project Eagle. You recognize this? She says, yeah. What is Project Eagle referring to? She says, oh, that's the Doral property. Got that. So Trump's lawyer says, okay, so Eagle is a golfing term, right? She says, yeah. But he says, but I'm not a golfer, so I don't really know what it means. That makes two of us. I think it's good. 2 under par? I don't know. But jokes that not being a golfer, he can't say for certain what it means. Now, crosstalk ensues between the state and the defense. And they're saying, no, I think it's 1 under par. It's a birdie, I think, because the prosecutors aren't golfing either. No, it's an eagle. An eagle's the 2. I'm pretty sure eagle's 2 and a birdie's 1. And the judge's like, shut up, everybody. So Trump's lawyer, Cliff Roberts, jokes that they can't even agree on that. So the government's like, no, it's definitely a birdie. I mean, it's definitely a birdie. It's 1 under par for a birdie, 2 for an eagle. Now, shut up, everybody. All right, let's take a break. It's 15-minute break. Shut up. All right. So they take the break. Figure it out. Go out there and Google it around. So then they come on back. Now, all right, we're back on break. Rosemary Vrablich's back on the stand. Suarez says, welcome back. We've decided that an eagle is 2 under par. All right. So I want to show you some emails about your other interactions with Trump and some other people. And she says, sure, I'm happy to walk you through those. And these emails are her effusive praise about her and the bank's relationship with Trump. Okay. They love each other. I want to show you this email from March 8, 2013. Recognize it? Yeah. It says here that you told Ivanka. Can you read this for us? It says, yeah, this one went over to Ivanka about the development of the Doral property. Says, I am so glad that we got to see you and have you show us the new rooms. They look amazing, Ivanka. Here's another email, June 12, 2013. Email says, Rosemary to Ivanka, the bank to the Trump organization. We had a great meeting today with credit risk, and they are very open to the extension and the burn off of your dad's guarantee. It was quite remarkable and a testament to you and your family and what you have achieved with us so quickly on our projects. They're like, dang, man, this Trump family can move, which is why we want him back in the White House. So they say in order to transform DC's landmark post office to a hotel, Trump needed government approval for this deal. So there's another email. In an email dated February 8th, 2012, Rosemary alludes to this in a message. She says, sending this over to Ivanka, I'm presuming, saying, I guess they can pass the government's KYC too. So she sent this message over to probably somebody else in the bank, right? I don't know exactly who that message went to, but she's saying, look, even the Trumps can pass the government's know your customer, okay? Know your customer is this basically a law that says that, the banks and financial institutions have to know who they're dealing with. Like, that's why you have to verify who you are when you do these transactions, right? You can't just like sign up for a brokerage account not knowing who you are, like anonymously, right? Can you go sign up for a bank anonymously? No, like you got to know who they are. And which is why there are people who are upset with crypto, because crypto is, a lot of them are not. Some exchanges, you can bypass KYC, know your customer, but not in the United States, right? Because we've got KYC laws. And so it's a complex area of consult your local crypto expert. So here in an email dated, she's pointing to the fact, man, even Trump can pass the government's KYC. So like they are legit. That's 2012 before Trump's even running for presidency. So the Attorney General says, Your Honor, we object to this. Trump misled the government as well with the financial records. The government was misled too. He lied to them about the old post office. And so we want to strike that from the record, blah, blah, blah. And you'll get your moment on cross-examination, and it's about to begin. So Tishy's lawyer now, his name is Kevin Wallace, and here is Wallace versus Rosemary. Wallace says, all right, Rosemary, it's my turn. Now I want to show you portions of an email chain. This came from the defense's records. And here we read through a bunch of emails that you were just like lavishing praise on Trump. But what about this one? You recognize this one that had some caution about these deals? For example, on December 28th, they pull out another email on the screen. Recognize this, December 28th, 2011. It says, the bank's then executive committee, who was on the committee member, his name is Pierre DeWeck. He says, well, I support the transaction, but we need ironclad full recourse under all circumstances. Okay, so this guy's on some committee. Should we loan Trump $1 billion or whatever? I support it, but we need ironclad full recourse under all circumstances. So isn't it true he doubted this? She says, well, I mean, he had an opinion on it, whatever. Now in another email, she says, what about this one, Rosemary? It says, Rosemary, you in 2011, September 29th, you told Don Jr. and you told Jared Kushner in this email, you said, sorry about the recourse issue, a dirty word, I know, but it is a requirement in private banking, right? Like, we got to put that in there in the contract or whatever. Why did you say that was a dirty word, Rosemary? And she says, well, it is a dirty word because it means the bank could seize the borrower's personal assets in the event of a default, right? We're operating in a position where we have LLCs and S-corps and professional corporations and all these things that save a person's personal assets and separates them from the business, right? That's why you form these entities. So you don't have personal liability. So the fact that you're going to have personal assets that could be subject to seizure is like a dirty thing. It's like, well, you're coming after my personal, how dare you? So it's a dirty word. But so you had put in there, right? So you had to bring up recourse. And so you might have wanted to seize Trump's assets. Well, that's part of what we do. It's part of a business and a private bank. So they say, okay, no further questions. And Rosemary is excused off the stand. Next witness, Your Honor, Trump's defense attorney, this person's name is Jennifer Hernandez, which I don't think we've heard from here, is now from Christopher Keese's law firm. She's entering the game. She says, Your Honor, we call Patrick Burney, shout out to Jennifer Hernandez, who is a Trump Oregon executive who testified previously. So it sounds like maybe he was called by Tishy. And Burney is on the stand, and boom, testimony concludes for the day, and that's it. And so we don't get much report there about what was said. Might have been near the close of the day, but that's what this guy looks like apparently in court. And of course, we'll see what else is happening here in the aftermath of this trial. And we appreciate Class Fellow Klasfeld reports and his work, so please be sure you're following him if you'd like to get more legal news that we don't cover here. He's covering a lot of other things at Klasfeld Reports on the X platform. And so we'll stay up to speed with what's happening in the New York trial. Certainly thank you for subscribing. One person who testified in the January 6th committee hearings is saying that this is very problematic for Trump, right? The fact that he's presenting evidence and the fact that he is going after Judge Engoron and his Greenfield law clerk, and he's criticizing Tishy for her fake scam prosecution, all of this is hurting America, hurting democracy. And so we've got to get Republicans to jump in on this dog pile and join in on the political prosecution. Here is Luttig.
Today, we see, to no surprise, that the former president is viciously attacking both the federal and the state courts, and even the individual judges who are presiding over his cases. What do we do about it? There's nothing that we can do other than what we have been doing and are doing.
Indict him again.
Except we need, frankly, Republicans to join the chorus that our very democracy and our rule of law in America is in peril. And it's in peril because of the conduct and violent political rhetoric of the former president. But to date, most Republicans have stood silent.
Okay, so that's Luttig and others, and we'll see if they escalate their attacks on the former president. We'll be here continuing to cover, my friends. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following along. We'll see what the rest of this civil trial looks like. But Tishy did not have a good day today as the bank's witnesses come out and say, no problems here. Everything was good. We got paid. Love doing business with them. Love to continue to do business with them, but can't. So this is where we'll stay, my friends. Thank you for subscribing. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.